For me, it's been several minutes since I put this on pause. I might actually cut it there, and just make that the first video, because that's a decent length, 21 minutes and something. So we'll pick this up. I am gonna be eating. So for those of you who don't like that, you feel free to leave your dislike now. But we will continue this. I like eating things while I'm watching stuff, so it's very satisfying to me. Satisfying time to be eating stuff. Got some microwavable taquitos here, drenched in salsa, and that's not bad. So let's continue.
So the defendant really was chasing the victim?
Yes, I have no doubt in my mind.
You might not, but I do. Besides, you can't pronounce Coco Pomel's name properly.
That's right.
Pretty confident.
Don't they all? Anyway, all we need to get the ball rolling is a contradiction in his testimony.
Mm-hmm.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Let's see what we can figure out here. One minute. Well, I think that's charging now. Haven't ever quite figured out how to do that properly, but
I was in the left wing of the stage, watching my play being performed.
Hold it! What was this play about?
It's about a mare named Henny. She's an orphan who's determined to find her parents, who she was separated from at birth.
Oh? How'd they get separated?
what does this have to do with
It's
the...
an incredible tale.
Objection! Do you mind? Some of us are still planning to see this play when the showings resume. How dare you try to spoil it for me? Not to mention, the plot is absolutely irrelevant to this case.
Oh, of course. My apologies. I just love talking about this story.
Aww, but I wanted to know how it all ends.
So, you said you were watching from the left side of the stage.
You're the worst kind of person,
Did
Judge.
the chase happen on the right side, though?
Oh, are you referring to it as the house left wing? In that case, no, I was on the other side.
But you just said you were on the left side.
Do you know anything about the performing arts?
Kinda? I mean, I was in the art department at college. I, actually wanted to be a stage actor myself.
You? Trust me, you wouldn't last a day in the business. I can tell.
I love how he's smiling the
Yeah,
whole time.
thanks for the advice on a career choice I gave up on nearly 15 years ago.
Anyway, since you're obviously on the ignorant side when it comes to stage terminology,
I hate
let
this
me
guy.
give you a little lesson.
Not as much as I hate Blue
They
Blood,
were
though.
running through the stage left wing, but it's also called the house right wing. You call it stage left if you're looking at the audience from the stage, and you call it house right if you're looking at the stage from the audience. I just tend to go with the stage terms because I'm usually behind the curtains.
So is it left or right?
Gah. If it makes it easier for you, I'll go with your version and call it the right side. Does that make you feel better?
Yes, actually. Anyway, why watch from the side? Wouldn't directors normally watch from the audience?
You're right. Many directors do tend to watch from the audience, but I like to be up close and personal during a performance. I want to make sure that my performers are at the top of their game.
Are you saying that you aren't confident in your actors to give it their all?
Oh, of course not! My performers are among the best in the business! Or they are now, at least. I just take a few extra precautions to make sure that my plays are absolute perfection.
I see. So, no mistakes at all then?
Not one. Everything went flawlessly up to the second act. We were on track for a perfect performance if it wasn't for what was happening backstage. Suddenly, I saw Mr. Concept being chased by Miss Pommel up the catwalk.
Hold it! You saw Miss Pommel chasing the victim? Weren't you watching the stage for any potential screw-ups from your actors?
Well, I had no choice but to look. Their obnoxiously loud hoof steps were distracting me from watching my play. It made me want to find whoever it was and scream at them, but it was during the show, so I had to keep quiet. I did complain to my stage manager, though. He was standing right next to me during both acts of the play.
Really?
The stage manager was with him. I suppose that gives him a solid alibi.
It's also a second witness that we need to
Were
look
there
at.
any breaks during the play?
Yes, one. A 15-minute intermission between acts 1 and 2.
And what were you doing during that time?
Overseeing the stage hooves work. They had a lot to do to get ready for the second act, you see.
The guy sounds
What
less
did
New
this work
England
entail?
and just
Well,
more
they had
vaguely.
to completely clear the stage of all the props,
vaguely
as well as
cheesy
any
British
debris
now.
that would cause problems for the actors on stage, mainly tripping hazards.
What time was all of this happening?
The intermission started at around 8 o'clock and it ended at 8:15. The second act would have run from then until 9 o'clock if Overall hadn't been murdered.
Did you see Overall at all during the intermission?
Actually, I did. He came on stage briefly to discuss something with me, and then he left right before the intermission ended. He said he and his assistant had to start working on coating a new sheet of fabric and paint.
What did you two talk about?
That's a private matter. It has nothing to do with this case, I assure you.
Mm,
You're not the one who gets to make that judgment.
yeah,
Mr.
no,
Playwright.
you don't. You
Tell
can't do
us
that.
what he wanted to talk to you about. Remember, you're under oath.
Witness, please tell us what you discussed with the victim.
It was just something related to the fabric, that's all.
The fabric?
Yes, I asked him to make a special fabric for the next show we were planning. He wanted to confirm the details with me.
That must be the special fabric he told Rarity about in his letters to her.
Rarity's picture.
Did you see him again after that?
Definitely gonna have to try and
Not
put my
until
camera in the middle.
chase,
You need
no.
to try and remember that next time I pause.
Even though the two of them met, it would have been before
Actually,
the
I'm
time
being
of
dumb.
death. I seriously doubt
I can do
anything
that right
could have
now.
been done to throw that off, given the state of the crime scene. I guess this means Playwright can't be the killer.
Maybe there?
And
Is
when
that gonna
did
block
the chase
anything?
occur again?
Let me just.
It was near the conclusion of the
nope.
play.
I guess
say
I'm just
it
gonna
was
have to leave it there.
probably around 8:50 p.m.
The time of death is estimated to be between 8:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. This all lines up perfectly with the prosecution's case.
Which way did you look when you noticed the victim and my client?
To the right, of course.
So is the stagehouse direction thing still applied here?
Forget it. I'll just show you on the diagram. I was watching the stage from this side, and I looked in this direction to see what was causing all the ruckus.
So, you were facing the dressing room then?
Yes,
Might not have seen if someone else came up the other side.
Isn't the backstage dark during the play?
yes, but not pitch black. I was able to make out their silhouettes. Not to mention, they were the only two ponies who were on that side of the
You can't
stage.
just assume that someone could have
On
moved
that
in there.
side, does that mean there was someone else on the other side of the stage?
That's a good point.
Yes, the stage hooves I mentioned before. They were all positioned at the right, or rather left if we're going by house terms, wing of the stage.
How long have they been there?
They were there throughout the entire first act. During the intermission, they came on stage to clean and prepare for Act 2. Then, they returned to the left wing for the second act.
In that case, what brought you to the conclusion that Coco was chasing Overall? Couldn't it have been one of the stage hooves that left their post?
Objection! Sorry, human, but that's impossible. The stage hooves were all interrogated after the incident. They claimed that not a single one
God, I hate
left
him
the right wing
so
during the
much.
second act. I assume your next proposal is going to be that all of the stage hooves were in league with one another and plotted to murder Overall Concept together?
That seems unlikely. We better look for other possibilities. No, it isn't.
Pity. I was looking forward to putting you down even more.
but I would like Mr. Playwright to clarify exactly how he knew the figures he saw were Coco and Overall.
It was pretty dark, but I could make out a little of their faces. Miss Pommel looked a little scared yet determined. She was chasing a stallion who was running for help after all. As for Mr. Concept, he looked very angry.
Angry?
Hey, I don't blame him. He'd just been attacked by his partner, no less.
I'd be more scared than angry if some pony was attacking me.
Good point. Let's see what other little tidbits we can get out of Playwright. Maybe he'll let something slip that we can use later on.
I tried to ignore the disturbance they were causing, but then I saw Mr. Concept hanging right above center stage.
Hold it! There was a disturbance?
The hard hoof steps from them on the wooden floor were already bad enough. Mix that with a rattling catwalk and that loud clang. That's enough to ruin a play as it is.
A loud clang,
Not to
you say.
mention that horrific hanging that happened not even a minute after they ran by.
Yes, not to
How
mention
did
that.
you react to his death?
How do you think? Just like every pony else who saw it. Scared, horrified, distraught. My play was ruined, and one of my employees was killed. I wanted to find the ruffian who would dare commit such a heinous act. So I went up to that catwalk, and I was shocked at what I found. I ran up to the catwalk immediately and saw Miss Pommel looking down from where Mr. Concept fell.
Hold it! And how did Miss Pommel appear when you saw her there?
She looked unfocused, as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. As soon as I saw her, I could tell.
Really?
Miss Pommel pushed Mr. Concept off
With-
the catwalk with the noose that had been prepared.
Wait a minute. You're claiming that the noose had been prepared before the chase?
Honestly, just look at the poster. You can see it right there as plain as day. I can see right through you, human. You were planning on asking, why would the defendant have prepared a noose on the catwalk if she was never planning to go up there? Huh, an argument befitting a monkey such as yourself.
Oh my god, I hate him.
Well, this monkey's quick on his feet. So, this noose was already lying on the catwalk at the time of the crime.
That's right. It was supposed to be used during the climax of the play. But I certainly didn't plan for that kind of climax.
So it wasn't
If it makes you feel better.
a premeditated
it's a
murder
no one
weapon.
will
It
ever
was
forget.
just
When exactly was this
there.
noose prepared?
It was during the intermission. That was another task the stage hooves had to complete before the second act, on top of clearing the catwalk of any debris. I can assure you it was done flawlessly. I went up there just as they were finishing to check it myself. The noose was ready, and the catwalk was spotless. From that point on, the stage hooves were positioned on the left side of the stage, and I was on the right side with my stage manager.
Did the stage hooves report anyone going up to the catwalk during the second act?
They did not. Along with none of them leaving their positions, not a single one has made mention of seeing any pony go up or down the stairs, leading to the catwalk after the second act had begun, even after the murder had occurred.
So, it's a classic locker room murder then. Are you sure that you saw no one else while you were up there?
I'm certain. No one else was on that catwalk besides Miss Pommel and myself. She was standing right above where Mr. Concept was, pushed down from.
Did you see anything else on the catwalk at all?
Well, there was a small pile of glitter and a glitter-stained fabric roll next to Miss Pommel, but I didn't pay them much attention, really.
Glitter-stained fabric roll. Huh. When we went to investigate the theater,
The fabric was
we
gone.
only saw the pile of glitter.
That would be because the police already removed it for examination. I have it right here. It was found exactly where the witness said it was in his testimony.
empty wooden fabric
I
roll.
say, Prince, do my eyes deceive me, or does that fabric roll have several splinters sticking from it?
It does indeed, Your Honor. It would appear as though this roll had seen its fair share of use over the years.
I can.
Something about that fabric roll doesn't sit right with me.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do after you found Miss Palmel?
Well, I had to make sure she didn't try to get away, so I stayed on the catwalk and called out to my stage manager standing below to cancel the play and call for the police. They arrived relatively quickly and arrested Miss Pommel right where I found her.
But how did she respond to you? You must have said something to her when you walked up there, right?
We didn't actually say a word to each other.
Huh?
Miss Pommel just started crying. A lot. I felt bad for her, but I was certain she was the one
Not
who
vaguely
murdered
British,
overall
vaguely Australian.
concept. So instead of asking her anything, I just kept watch and let her be until the police arrived.
Huh. A classic case of crocodile tears to garner sympathy.
Yeah, you'd know all about that,
It's
wouldn't
what
you?
any criminal would do to make
fucking
themselves
psychopath.
appear innocent. Your directing skills must have helped you make that flawless judgment. Good on you, witness.
Thanks. Although I have to give her credit, she sure made them look real.
That's because they were real. She had just lost a friend, and the first thing you assume is that she's the one who murdered him? I'd be upset too, if I were in her horseshoes.
As you can see, this witness has given a remarkably solid testimony. I do hope you'll spare us all any further.
Oh, I'm not going to
embarrassment,
spare
human.
you any embarrassment, motherfucker.
Solid testimony? Well, wait until you see the crack in it, as I'm about to split it wide open.
Any closing remarks, witness?
As much as I hate to believe it, Miss Pommel must have been the one who killed him. I can't see anything else that would suggest otherwise.
Objection! Are you absolutely sure about that last part, witness?
Yes, nothing else was out of place.
Well, if you ask me, that's far from true.
What? Are you calling me a liar?
Not necessarily. It could be that you simply failed to take something into account.
I'm sorry?
He failed to take something into account, you say? Humor me, then. What is it you claim the witness did not give proper consideration?
That would, of course, be this fabric roll.
The fabric roll.
Mr. Playwright, when you saw Coco and Overall run by, were either of them holding anything?
If they had been, I would have mentioned that in my testimony. I'm not in the habit of making such a simple mistake as that.
In that case, how does the prosecution intend to account for this?
Stop talking in riddles, defense. What is it that you're trying to say?
Playwright has stated that he did not see Miss Palmel or the victim holding the fabric roll during the chase.
How did it get up there?
Also established that no one else went up or down the catwalk from the time the second act started to when Playwright ascended to the catwalk after the murder. The testimonies of both Playwright and the stage hooves confirm this. If this is true, then where in the world did the fabric roll come from?
Oh, that's right!
What?
Nice one, Phoenix.
Our first contradiction of the day. Now, let's start turning this case.
Objection! Is that all you've got, feeble lawyer?
What do you mean? This is a serious contradiction.
I have to agree with the defense here. How could the fabric roll end up on top
He's
of
just
the
going to say that it may
catwalk
not have had
if
anything to
neither
do with
of the
anything.
parties that went up there were carrying anything?
I believe I have an explanation, Your Honor.
God, I hate him.
Then please go right ahead.
I hate him so much.
Witness, when you saw the victim being chased by Miss Pommel, how far ahead was he?
Well, he'd already started climbing up the catwalk, so pretty far. If I had looked a second later, I probably would have missed him entirely.
Damn it.
And there you have it.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
You just didn't see
Then
it.
allow me to explain in a manner that even a commoner such as yourself can follow. The fabric roll was brought up to the catwalk by overall concept. Since he was ahead of Miss Pommel, and was already partly up the stairs to the catwalk by the time the witness took a glance at them, it would make perfect sense as to why he would miss this detail.
That does seem to explain it. I imagine it would be rather difficult to see something like that, given what was going on, especially in the dark.
I mean, that's fair.
I couldn't agree more, Your Honor.
Ah! Well, there goes that contradiction. Now what?
Don't give up yet, Phoenix.
Twilight?
I think we still have some room to maneuver. There's something that Blue Blood hasn't established yet that demands an explanation.
You're right. Good thinking, Twilight. Prosecutor Blue Blood.
Prince, please.
Prince Blue Blood. There's still something vital to this case that you've yet to establish.
And that would be...
A clear motive. It's been mentioned before that
Also,
the
how
victim
do you
and the
know that
defendant were very close
she
friends.
attacked him in the room,
What
in
makes
the
you think
dressing
that
room?
my client, of all ponies, would want to kill him?
Oh, you really want to know? I'm afraid you'll regret asking that question, human lawyer. Your Honor,
Yes, Prince Blueblood?
the prosecution would like to call the defendant herself to
Oh,
the stand.
no.
Objection! What are you planning to have her testify about?
Don't worry, it's nothing she'll need to plead the fifth for. All she needs to do is tell us about her living situation.
What? How is that relevant to this case?
Prince Blueblood, I too fail to see how the defendant's living situation could possibly be of any use to us.
If you'll allow me to present this testimony, Your Honor, I guarantee I will be able to establish its relevance to the case at hand. Unless, of course, the defense has so little faith in his own client that he's frightened he'll lose if she testifies.
What? How dare...
If that's the case, I can request that this trial be brought to a swift resolution if you'd like. The prosecution has already made it abundantly clear that the defendant is the only one who had the opportunity to murder the victim. These
I
extra
hate
bits
you.
of testimony and evidence will only serve to chip away at your fragile
Oh,
ego.
Phoenix is the one with the
That's
fragile
even
ego,
more
huh?
evidence. If we could see that, then perhaps we could use it to turn this trial around.
Exactly.
But first, we're gonna have to get through this testimony.
Open your eyes, life is all around you. Don't have to be so alone. Take a good look at this world you found and breathe. Now you're finally home.